our short lesson this evening. Let me see. Get myself a piece of paper. Any such paper would be fine. Yeah, that's fine. Good evening, Two Doves. Welcome in. Good to see you. I had mentioned earlier, I see we have a few people now, but I'm going to do this new thing that even if I'm planning on doing like, well, it won't be all the time because I don't always have the same time to come down to stream, but if I don't feel like doing the reading from the book and I want to play Hearthstone instead, or chess or Pac-Man or something like that, I still want to start with the Liturgy of the Hours and do our patristic reading and do a short lesson here. So the possibility of the natural knowledge of God in the light of supernatural revelation. So, God, our Creator and Lord, can be known with certainty by the natural light of reason from created things. Now, this is not held by all who profess to be Christians, but this is a dogma of the Catholic Church, by the way. So, the arguments put forth by Thomas Aquinas, for example, are said to be sufficiently reasonable to demonstrate the existence of God and many of his attributes. So, that God, our Creator and Lord, can be known with certainty by natural light of reason from created things. So, reason, unaided by grace and revelation, can reason from created things to the Creator. Right. The Vatican Council defined this. If anybody says that the one true God, our Creator and Lord, cannot be known with certainty in the light of human reason by those things which have been made, anathema sit. The Vatican definition stresses the following points. That definitely a typo. Interesting. The object of our knowing is the one true God, our Creator and Lord, therefore an extra-mundane personal God. Second, the subjective principle of knowledge is natural reason in the condition of fallen nature. Right? So even in the condition of fallen nature, reason can still accomplish this, even if it requires a lot of time and with great difficulty. The means of knowledge are created things. The knowledge is from its nature and manner a knowledge of certitude. Such knowledge of God is possible, but is not the only way of knowing him. Right? Some scriptural proof. According to the testimony of Holy Writ, the existence of God can be known from nature. We see this in Wisdom chapter 13, 1 through 9. For by the greatness of the beauty and of the creature, the Creator of them may be seen. We also see this in Romans chapter 1:20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. His eternal power and his divinity also, so that they are inexcusable. The knowledge of God, witnessed to in these two passages, is a natural, certain, immediate, and easily achieved knowledge. Well, okay, let me think about that. Easily achieved? maybe some aspects. Perhaps it doesn't qualify. Knowledge of God, so that God exists. I'll have to reflect more on that. Immediate and easily achieved knowledge. Also from conscience, Romans chapter 2, for example, says, For when the Gentiles who know not the Mosaic law do by nature these things that are of the law, these, having not the law, are a law to themselves, who show the work of the law written in their hearts. So the heathens, that is, know naturally, without supernatural revelation, the essential content of the Old Testament law. In their hearts, a law has been written whose binding power indicates a supreme lawgiver. All right, so our sense of morality, for example, from conscience. From history, we see in Acts 14, St. Paul in his discourses at Lystra and at the Areopagus in Athens shows that God reveals himself in beneficent works also to the heathens, and that it is easy to find him as he is near to each of us. So Acts 17, for example, says, For in him we live and move and have our being. And in saying that God is not very far from us. The full passage is much more better. Now, the fathers, that is from tradition here, in referring to the assertions of Holy Scripture, stress the possibility and the faculty of the natural knowledge of God. For example, Tertullian wrote, O testimony of the soul, which is by its nature Christian. The Greek fathers preferred the cosmological proofs of God which proceed from external experience. The Latin fathers preferred the psychological proofs which flow from inner experience. Let's see. Theophilus of Antioch said, God has called everything into existence from nothing, so that his greatness might be known and understood through his works. Just as the soul in man is not seen, as it is invisible, but is known through the movement of the body, so God cannot be seen with human eyes, but he is observed and known through providence and his works. Just as one at the sight of a well-equipped ship, which sweeps over the sea and steers towards a harbor, becomes aware that there is a helmsman on her, who directs her, so also one must be aware that God is the director of everything, even though he is not seen with bodily eyes, as he cannot be apprehended by them. And there's similar comments in St. Irenaeus and John Chrysostom as well. So taking their stand on the authority of the fathers, many Catholic theologians, for example, names I cannot pronounce, they taught that the idea of God is not acquired by deductive thinking from the world of experience, but is innate in man. Certainly many of the fathers, for example, looks like St. Justin, St. Clement of Alexandria, characterized the knowledge of God as automatic, such as not learned or automatically learned or implanted, self-taught, or as a gift of the soul. St. John of Damascus says, the knowledge of the existence of God is implanted by him and all in their nature. The knowledge of the existence of God is implanted by him and all in their nature. But as the same fathers teach that we must win the knowledge of God from the contemplation of nature, therefore, according to their conception, what is innate is not the idea of God as such, but the ability easily and to a certain extent spontaneously to know the existence of God from his works, which seems to be a much more fitting idea. Hey, Johnson, welcome in. Good evening. Oh, very good. Well, welcome to the Christian family. I mean, those who were baptized into Christ most certainly share in some way in the mystical body that unites us all. A doctrine that is fully recognized. So, absolutely, welcome. I'm having a good night. We're just finishing up our lesson here, and then I'll probably play some Hearthstone this evening. That's what I feel like doing anyways. See, now St. Thomas, and also in Boethius. Actually, this might be a commentary of St. Thomas on Boethius, on the Trinity. It says, the knowledge of him is said to be innate in us insofar as we can easily know the existence of God by means of principles which are innate in us. So, contrary to the presuppositionalists, okay, you may hear someone speak in terms of, I am a presuppositionalist, or I'm an evidentialist, and so on and so forth. The presuppositionalist, more often than not, will start from a position of uncertainty that we can't know things, or that we certainly can't know things unless the heart is changed first. All right, so this is more of a Protestant conception of the effects of original sin on us, whereas within the Catholic understanding, original sin wounds but does not destroy our nature, so that we retain the use of reason to the extent that we can, through not only external evidences, as this lesson points out, is that God made us in such a way so that it would be innate in us to find him by those principles. All right. So the intellect, for example, this is the easiest way I can describe it, and I say it all the time, that God gave us an intellect, and our intellect is naturally drawn to the good, the true, and the beautiful. And we find the fulfillment of our intellect in the beatific vision, seeing God face to face, who is all good, all beautiful, and all true. And so we find within ourselves a natural inclination to God. All right. So there's a sense of innate principles or activities and powers, faculties within us that draw us to find God. As Acts says, he's not that far from us, but it does certainly require a certain amount of openness to seek him, and it's for no reason that Christ made it very plain that we must become like children and look to God as our Father. So with that childlikeness, not a childishness, all right, not naivety, but a childishness, a childlike response and seeking the love of the Father. So, all right, so that's our lesson for the night. All right. So just give me a moment to switch over. Let's see. If I have time, maybe we could do